Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton picked up a somewhat surprising endorsement today from the Dallas Morning News. It has been more than 75 years, after all, since the paper endorsed a Democrat for the presidency. Its editorial today says, and I quote, "There is only one serious candidate on the presidential ballot in November," end quote, in reference to Hillary Clinton. Now, this comes as she ramps up her criticism of Donald Trump, slamming his plans, his demeanor, his business practices, among other things. Our Nancy Cordes has more.
He says he has a secret plan to defeat ISIS. But the secret is he has no plan.
Clinton likened Trump Tuesday to a two-bit scam artist who's trying to pull one over on the American people.
The list goes on and on. The scams, the frauds, the questionable relationships.
She made her feelings known again last night when reporters practiced a time-honored tradition on her campaign plane, writing a question on an orange. Who would you rather have dinner with, Trump or Russian President Vladimir Putin? They rolled it down the aisle to first class, and a campaign aide rolled it back with Clinton's answer circled: Putin.
I got tickled the other day when Mr. Trump called my foundation a criminal enterprise.
In Durham, North Carolina, her husband went after Trump's foundation for illegally donating $25,000 to a group with ties to a key official.
He made a political contribution to the Attorney General of Florida, who at the time had her office investigating Trump University. And mysteriously, the investigation vanished.
But Hillary Clinton could have her own investigations to worry about.
I want to get to the truth. I want to make sure this never happens again.
A top House Republican, Jason Chaffetz, sent a letter to the U.S. Attorney in D.C. urging him to examine why a computer specialist deleted Secretary Clinton's email archives in March of 2015, even after a congressional subpoena had been issued.
What did she do or not do with those documents? Because the proximity in the timeline is just stunning.
Clinton accused Chaffetz of scandal mongering.
I believe I have created so many jobs in the sort of conspiracy theory machine factory because, honestly, they never quit.
And Nancy Cordes now joins us from Washington. And Nancy, again, that is quite an endorsement for Hillary Clinton, coming again from the Dallas Morning News. First time in almost 8 decades we've seen it happen for a Democrat. How crucial?
It's certainly going to be exciting in Clinton headquarters in Brooklyn this morning. I think you're going to see a lot of people reading the Dallas Morning News online, even if it's not typically part of their morning regimen. Look, the reality is Hillary Clinton is highly unlikely to win in Texas. So in that state, I'm not sure that this endorsement makes a huge difference. Recent polls there have showed Trump leading in a reliably red state like Texas by about 6 to 11 points. But it does give Clinton more fodder for her argument that Trump is not a real Republican. He's somebody who gives even conservatives pause because of his plans, because of his demeanor, because of his background. And so I'm sure you'll see that worked into a Clinton speech in the near future. As
we just heard in your piece, the secretary also continues to face questions about her email, specifically the batch that was bleached, essentially, deleted even after the subpoena had been issued. What has the campaign had to say about it?
The campaign and the candidate herself have had surprisingly little to say about it. We actually asked her about this issue on her campaign plane, both on Monday and on Tuesday. And both times she essentially said, I don't know anything about it. I wasn't involved. And it's a kind of surprising answer given that she's now had a year and a half to figure out what did happen. And you would think that she'd have a few more details at this point about how those emails could have been deleted by a computer specialist who worked for her just a few weeks after the news of this server's existence broke and after Congress had called on her to retain all of her emails because the Benghazi committee was looking for any and all emails pertaining to Libya.
Speaking of Libya and Benghazi, foreign policy in the crosshairs today for both candidates. Donald Trump giving a speech later today on defense. His campaign says that he'll call for an increase in defense spending. He'll be looking to back off from what they call democracy creation, and they're going to ask generals to submit new plans to defeat ISIS within the first 30 days of a Trump presidency. And this is before the commander-in-chief forum tonight. What is the campaign's game plan by way of response?
Hillary Clinton's game plan has been to argue not only that Donald Trump's plans are bad, but that he doesn't really have plans, that he's kind of out there operating on a sort of ad hoc national security, ad hoc diplomacy basis where his ideas and his proposals and his comments about U.S. allies and enemies sort of shift depending on the day. Just yesterday, for example, she sort of mocked his comments the day before about China. And, you'll recall that over the weekend, the Chinese government didn't provide the correct stairs for Air Force One when the president arrived there for the G20 summit. It was sort of seen as a snub. Donald Trump said, hey, if that hadn't been me, I would have said, I respect you all very much, but that's it, close the doors, I'm going home. Clinton argued yesterday on her campaign plane, you can't do that. You've got to get over these little things. You've got to have a little more backbone than that, stay the course, make sure it doesn't happen again, but you've got to get to work. So what she's arguing is that he just doesn't have the seriousness, the integrity, the consistency to be put in charge of the U.S. military and national security more broadly.
Certainly hearkening the TV ad currently running. I do want to ask regarding seriousness and integrity. The orange rolled into first class. Yesterday on board Hill Force One, as it has been christened, the traveling press corps of which you were a part. Wondered if Secretary Clinton would rather have dinner with Donald Trump or Vladimir Putin. So her team rolled back said projectile, and we can confirm it had been circled. Vladimir Putin is the preferred dinner date.
Right. It's kind of a burn, right?
Are we going to see more? I mean, will there be more fruits involved here, Nancy?
No, orange is really the ideal fruit for question rolling. This is a long tradition among the political press corps. We've been rolling oranges as far back as George W. Bush. And often it's a way to kind of tweak the candidate and make a point. You're not coming back to talk to us, so we have to resort to these desperate measures to get our questions answered. In this case, Hillary Clinton has actually come back to talk to the press for a couple days in a row, but I think reporters just couldn't resist now that they are finally on a plane with Clinton for the first time, and her team were good sports about it. That was her aide, Nick Merrill, with the really impressive bowling skills there.
Really impressive. He really brought it back to the one pin. I mean, that's a tough spare to pick up. It's also good to know that no one on board that plane will be, coming down with scurvy. So scurvy avoidance is also a big thing.
Fun fact, that was actually the second orange that they rolled because the first one exploded when it smashed into the cockpit door. So it took a couple tries to get it right.
Which I would argue might give a Secret Service detail pause. A lot of questions, Nancy, but we're going to have to leave some of them on the table for next time. Nancy.
Citrus intrigue.
Nancy Cordes, as always, we thank you.
You're welcome.